came here and fucking.
But Alamo was older. Right.
Both
But they was a little bit older.
They were, but still, how do you depreciate so quickly?
Woo!
Yeah.
Like fucking Alamo was batting 328 before it came to the Mets.
Yeah, man.
20 home runs, fucking 100 RBIs.
Yeah, he just.
Bayerga, the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
they came to the Mets to die.
Right?
Yeah, the one was the other nigga, Jason Bay, who came up in the phone system. He was in Boston raking. As soon as he came to the Mets, nada.
Yo, is it the pressure? I never know. Like,
nah, man, the Mets is fucking jinx, dude. I know that shit because I'm a Mets fan. And shit don't work out for me either. But
06, what's that? 06 or 07?
No, 06 was the L season.
Yo, but that he watched the ball go down the plate, man. For the fucking.
So basically, what he's talking about is Carlos Beltran taking that Adam Wainwright curveball, staring at it.
Oh my God!
And tell me the inning before that you didn't think the Mets were gonna win.
Yeah!
Fucking Indy Chavez caught that shit from behind the fucking
wall. I thought it was going.
You're like, oh, this is it, man.
It's over.
That's a sign right there. The Mets is gonna come back and it's gonna be gracious.
That shit hurt.
Nada.
I was in day room tight.
And I got you, son. I got you. No program.
I lost a lot on that one, man. All right. So talk to your mic, Sunez.
Peace.
Debating PR's freedom, but the what's public. Yo, dude. I don't even know. So I'm gonna tell you what we'll talk about it when we do this, because it's something I gotta tell you.
When I get to it, I'm gonna drop the whole verse.
I'm gonna signal you. Let me give you the sides. Still third. I'm gonna be like this.
Oh man. I gotta post it again because he was saying it didn't come out with the sound. I might have did it too fast. So. All right, let's see.
Come on, man. You're Harry Allen, baby. The leftovers media assassin. Soon as Allah, you the new Harry Allen, nigga.
Okay.
Dude, every time I think about the whole leftovers concept and what we're doing and how we keeping it and how individuals just gravitated towards it and wanted to be a part of it with like no strings attached. He's like, yo, just put them down. And I think about, more and more, it's just, makes me know that Public Enemy was the greatest group of all time, dude. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. There's no better group ever in history. Rock music, rap music, anything than Public Enemy. Public Enemy.
You know what's funny? My cousin has been coming to some conclusion with a Public Enemy, like somewhere leaning towards that way too. That's crazy.
I can't hear you.
That. I said my cousin has a theory that's leaning towards that way too.
No, because what I'm saying is this. How do you take niggas from the fucking crack era that was fucking making money and then, the whole hood split in half. Niggas became addicts and niggas became entrepreneurs. And how do you make a nigga that fucking is so into selling crack and making money start talking about Farrakhan and Malcolm X and black righteousness? In the midst of their fucking biggest glory, they're making so much money. Public Enemy flipped niggas and made them actually be conscious and aware. You know how hard that shit is to do, B. It's hard enough for you just to tell a nigga, yo, get off the corner. This nigga had motherfuckers reading and studying.
I want to start with the.
If you judge it like that, you can't even argue with that.
Dude, they flipped the whole fucking community into believing their beliefs. Nah, fuck the medallion. He ain't have no fucking Black Power medallion, all that shit. When Afrocentricity was fucking cool. No, it was Chuck D. I'm out here with a baseball hat, and I'm gonna let you know. And that nigga Rick Rubin had to fucking convince that nigga to make a fucking record.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Chuck D was 30 when he got in the game.
Yeah.
I want to start this song. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, we're live after this. After that, I'm doing intro, and then we'll get into it. All right, about a couple of commentaries, and then we get into the intro of to you. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm posting the video and it comes out with no sound. I don't know why it's doing that.
You're live on YouTube.
All right. All right, I'm gonna have to fix that later. The hip-hop writer is a creator, composing understanding words of cultured brilliance, powering a rebalance of the elements equally. Pages of rejuvenated reaffirmation, simply the almighty leadership of insightful craft work that stands to build through any confrontation born to be. Yet his daily duty is as a journalist that questions properly and uses his ears to filter the real. And as the art decays by dilution, he concentrates the best again and again, exposing it in the print. Today's journalist and tomorrow's historian, he listens to share. Here is that necessary attempt, executed again and again and again. This is the Power Right Show on S.STREET Media. This is your brother, the lone low life with the home sewn garment, the Boricua with the build, the true living God, stepping in score, Sunez Allah, aka S.STREET Alone. And we're on S.STREET Media, the evolution of media, where every intrigue will have its own show, every incredible thought will have its own episode, and every timeless insight will be archived. And like I always say, this show is about my element of hip-hop, what I like to call the writer of art on art and science on music. The only show in history on this hip-hop writer element that I, a veteran of over a quarter century, helped pioneer. Always got to give salutes to my brother, Remember the Perfection, Kevlar7, who produced that track for me. I call my brother Son. That's your intro. That's the intro we're always hearing, getting us into it. And real quick, I got books out. I got the new book, The Reel of 2020. It's an ebook. It is a completely new way of formatting and judging music. So it's basically, it ain't no top 10 list of my favorites or what I like or trying to mix in bad music with good music. It literally is a complete 70-page analysis of the entire universe of hip-hop music last year. And it is bracketed in a revolutionary system of ciphers that categorize the entire universe. So each artist are put into singular or multiple brackets of categories and explain why they belong in those categories. And so you see how all of this interacts with each other. You know what I mean? And nobody's doing that shit. I had to write it though, because then people's gonna bite that shit and act like they made that shit up. And we got enough of that. But one of the major books starting this entire documentation of all this music in this last 10 years is my book out on paperback, The Filtered Real Essays from the Invisible Renaissance. That is out on paperback. Both books you can get by DM me. All you have to do is DM me on the Instagram, IG at Sunez, S-U-N-E-Z, or email me sunez97@gmail.com, and I'll get that out to you. Whew. And a couple of comments. I always like to give a shout out to my brother DJ Toshi, who do Classic Storm Radio. Our last shows, we have one incredible show coming up. It's so good that we had to, really put some time and effort into constructing it, putting it together. So we still have our latest shows, episode 288 and 289 on DJ Toshi, classicstorm.podomatic.com. And they are what? 2 separate shows. interviewing steel and tech of Smith and Wesson. You know what I mean? And we built on things that they've never built about ever before. And got to give a shout to the God Starker last week. We had a great show, great response, and look it up. Go online. There is no documentation. There is no builds. There is nothing about Starker. You know what I mean? He's a lone cowboy just throwing out great music. You know what I mean? And so check that show out after you check this one. But this show's a little bit different. My guest will definitely see the point of the math working out correctly too. This is the Power Right Show, episode 86.
Oh, nah. For real? Wow.
I'm not fucking playing. It's
Right.
86.
So the cipher's complete. Right
86, you know what I mean?
The cipher is complete.
And so
Cipher complete right
we
now.
got,
That means the cipher's complete. I can't
it's a rare show for me, because when I started to write, I wanted to be more than just someone looking out into the culture I loved. I wanted to make something. And that's why I made the pieces I wrote about other artists so creative. So I could say I created something. And now it goes full circle in so many ways that you'll see as we go along. But now this isn't just an interview today. It's actually two artists that are part of the same group.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And in different ways, all with the same common goal, unique add-ons to the table. And I'm talking about none other than the group, The Leftovers NYC, one of the most important movements that I've seen in music in these last 15 years. And it's just an honor to be a part of it, though. And shit, on this album that they got, this debut album that we put together, and to be able to set it off, because you're gonna hear Sunya's set it off. It's just a beauty, and it comes from one of the great stories in hip hop. If you go back, our guest today is Prince Power Rule, man. Legends, big bro. It's great to have you here. We've been working on getting this show for a while.
But during this interview, I like to be referred to as Marcano. Because Prince Power Rule's cool. I love that nigga, man. God bless him. He did a lot of shit that niggas could never do from where I came from. But today, the man that I am today is Marcano.
Oh, I hear you, Marcano, big bro. You know what I mean? And I think I want to go over the Leftovers and what the Leftovers mean, how you came with that name and involved us all as part of this group. But it has an earlier, and I just want to give that earlier context for those who haven't seen our previous interviews and the coverage I've had, is that Marcano, you're a prodigal son, you know what I mean, in hip hop, you know? You left.
Am I?
You know what I mean?
Oh,
you left,
yeah, I left and came back.
and you came back, you know what I mean? And
that's
one of the great
That's why
to me.
get all accolades. That's a good one.
I would say this though, in my covering work, I think two of the greatest comeback albums, and they're for two different reasons, is probably is definitely yours with The Anomaly in 2016, and I would definitely give it to Marquis, you know what I mean, Sister Marquis, because she never got her chance when she was rolling with Digging in the Crates and everything, and when she came out powerful, and it was a great album. So, but this comeback, it launched you into not only representing the New York that you came from, but also seeing New York differently as it is today. And you're one of the first artists to really show that massive contrast. And then I know that springboards into now this Leftovers. So how did you come with this Leftovers that we're all a part of here?
Well, thank you for everything that you said. And yeah, you know, so as we discussed before in the past on Classic Storm and all that, and for what magazine is that you was writing for?
Career Hip Hop, and even here, one of our earlier shows, I think it's in the 30s.
You know, I actually got brought back into the business by individuals who were in the business. I went to my boy's studio. that's in your ear music. Big up to my man Rob Diaz and Victor X Romero, DJ X. And I went there one day and I seen Psycho Les, Lord Finesse, and Large Professor chilling there. So I was thinking really like it was like, you know, and I said this before, I know it might be boring, but I thought it was some sort of documentary they were filming, and I was like, I appreciated the fact that he let me come there to watch it and see it, being that I knew them. But when I got there, they had heard a song that I did for the first time in 15 years. I did a song for my man DJ DeVito out in Philly called Grace. And, you know, everybody talks about, you know, Black Lives Matter in 2020. But 2016, it was the fucking same shit. And it was the same shit in 1989. It was the same shit before that. Like, you know, I've seen all this come. But when I was taking the train home from work, I used to see Black Lives Matter graffitied on the trains and in the subway stations. And that, you know, when he sent me that beat Grace, I was just like, all right, no pressure. I ain't got no record deal. I ain't got to do nothing for nobody but for myself. And I wrote that song, Grace, and eventually these guys heard it, and then they enabled me, or they asked me to make a new album for Powerful. So that was the first album I made, first thing I ever dropped since fucking 1997. And it did well, and great accolades and everything, and I appreciate everybody that was involved. And then, of course, you know, you called me up, and you got my information somehow, and then me and you built. And that was great, you know. So it brought me back in, you know. But it was definitely, you know, a powerful thing. So as I continue to learn and feel my way through the industry as it exists now, opposed to what it was, it's very different. I found myself not being compromised anymore. I felt that I'm a grown fucking man. And I got my own opinions, and I'm not going to waver without intelligent discussion on what I should do. So it was crazy because when I came back in, I felt a lot of pressure. But once I released that all, and then came out with the Power Rule shit, and then came out with the Anomaly Reloaded. Actually hooking up with your man Thurston Howard III to do Rock Steady. He came and kicked it with me out there at PR. And fucking, yo, Vic Lowe, he killed that shit. You know, he's a great inspiration to me right now because his work ethic is relentless. And he is a product of this new industry where work ethic is so important, and you have to continuously be out there and working. Before, it was just like, yo, you come out with an album once a year, you promote that shit, and then whatever happens, happens. But so I got accustomed to that. And then what happened one day, the story's been told before, but we'll say it here again. We all know that all these neighborhoods in New York City are affected by this fucking genocide that they're using through gentrification. I saw a neighbor across the street who was moving, and he had lived on that block for like 15 years. And he was pointing out to me and said, yeah, my kid caught his first baseball there. That's where my daughter this and that on this block. And he's like, oh, I can't afford the rent no more. I gotta go. You know, we gotta move down to Florida. I was like, yo, man, that's a fucking heartbreaking story. You know that's your home. Your block is your home. And you're getting thrown out. He said, you know what they call us, right? And I was like, what do you mean you know what they call us? He's like, the hipsters that came in now, they call us the leftovers. So immediately, I felt so fucking pissed off about that because automatically I knew what they was talking about. And it was so derogatory that it made me very angry. But then, like we do, we turn a negative into a positive. And I said, fuck that. I'm going to embrace that. This is going to be my mark on this game right now. Power Rules, great, love that shit. But this is now me as a man in this day. The Leftovers is going to be the name of my group. And I'm going to show these motherfuckers what the Leftovers do. And I'm going to expose the hypocrisy that's before us. So, big shouts to my girl HD. She was riding with me from the beginning on this, and I brought in Talim, and little by little, individuals started getting down, and before I knew it, like we have a whole collective. But it took a little time. Like that Leftovers anthem didn't come out till that came out in we in 2021, right? I don't even know no more. I think it came out in 2019 or 2018 or whatever. And it got a great response, from people. And a lot of people gravitated towards the movement because it's so familiar to a lot of individuals in the neighborhoods that they're living in, not even in New York City. If you're living in Oakland, you're living in Detroit and shit like that, gentrification is fucking destroying families and lives. Like, it's that silent genocide that's going on, It just looks like business, but it's not, man. It's wiping out our people and wiping us out of our communities, displacing us and putting us somewhere else, so they can have their convenience. So, as I just wrote one song. I wrote the Leftovers anthem. Then I wrote another song, wrote Bigger. It was like a year later. And then finally I came to the point where it's just like, wow, individuals are interested in this enough where I should actually make an album. So last year, I just really started going in hard and making more songs. Thanks to my nigga EQ Lyrics, man, my engineer that held me down, through all this COVID shit and everything. We have to be very careful hanging out with each other. I work in a public forum where, I easily could have been infected and stuff like that. Thank God I haven't been. And I was still afforded the opportunity to go to the studio with my man EQ and record all these songs that you can hear now on Leftovers Engraved in New York. It really speaks to who I am today. And this is the representation that I want people to remember of myself. I love the other shit. Parable was great. I can go on for days about all the reasons why it was great. But today, I am one of the members of the Leftovers NYC, and I think this right here was my calling and my purpose to be in this. May it took a little while and everything, but this is why I should be here, because I've always been a fan of individuals that changed the game with their sound, their lyrics, their words, whatever it was. Right. And as we spoke earlier, I think the greatest group of all time, rock, rap, jazz, I don't give a fuck what genre you say, is Public Enemy. Because, I seen it firsthand. I seen firsthand being a motherfucker that used to sell crack on the corner and shit like that, that these dudes came out and their sound, forget about it, man. The Bomb Squad, man, it's inexplicable what they did on those tracks, man. You can't reduplicate that shit.
Hundreds of tracks.
A lot of people tried, but it's just it's a mosaic, beautiful piece of art that's incredible, but it's in tune, So that combined with the knowledge of Chuck D and the way he came up in the revolution in the fucking 60s, it's just like it encompasses everything that I've ever, felt that I wanted to be a part of. So, when I thought of the Leftovers, I never thought of it as something where I would be solitary. I always thought I should have individuals with me. And blessings to me, man, I've been blessed with great individuals around me that have gravitated toward this movement. And we're finally really starting to get in there now. And a lot of people know about us. And this first album has been embraced so well. And thank you to everybody that's, it's still in its infantile stages and shit like that. I feel like it's forever because I've been doing it. But, over these last couple of months, man, Flip the Script Radio, In Control, Hip Hop Gods, all these essential mediums for good hip hop have embraced it. And then the thing is that they're all playing different songs. They're not even playing the same one. Toshi, Classic Storm Radio, he's playing Siva. Eclipse and Riz, one week they played Forever Great, the next week they played Covelli. Hip Hop Gods, they were playing Leftovers Anthem and Felipe Luciano. C Reality, damn, which one was C playing? Yo, C, don't kill me right now. C was playing one of them. I forgot which one, but C was playing one of them that he really liked. So, it's been a blessing, man, and to see the outpour of support from individuals that are going through that same struggle is it just fuels me more and it makes me want to do more.
You said something that made me think about it, and a lot of times, what I love about being part of the Leftovers is that a lot of times I write, and it's usually in we talked about Public Enemy. A lot of my writings are often very macro.
Mhm.
They're very designed that the ideas, whether it's the knowledge of stuff I've been taught, because I'm a teacher of this, you know what I mean? And then the problems of oppression, all of these things in a large vacuum.
Mhm.
And you mentioned Public Enemy. What's interesting about the Leftovers is that it's a group that when we make things for the Leftovers, it's almost like that localized revolution.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? The local action that takes place upon hearing of Public Enemy.
Mhm.
Because Public Enemy was talking about that whole group. It was so grand.
Right.
I
understand exactly what you're saying, but isn't that the thing though? It's like you do your thing in your town and then other people gravitate towards you because of your passion for that.
Right.
So if I went into it with a grand scheme like Hands Across America or fucking We Are the World shit, that shit would just look fucking corny. B, I'm from New York City, man. This is the way. I remember one dude, I saw a comment on one of my IG posts and shit from the Leftovers anthem, and I had said some shit on there, and this one dude, he said, that nigga never sold fucking crack in his life. Right. I was like, this motherfucker just don't know. I guess you don't know about ELPD, Hempstead and Springfield Boulevard, and Jamaica Queens.
And you know what's crazy?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it was funny to me. Right. But at least I knew that I was reaching individuals. And I remember DJ Polo from Coogee Rap Polo way back in the days. He told me, he's just like, yo, as long as they talking about you, it's good, B. It don't matter if it's bad or if it's good. It's they talking about you. You starting something up. So, I learned that, but I'm a baby compared to everybody else when it comes to IG and shit. You know what I'm saying? I came in bad late, because I wasn't affiliated with the music business anymore. I was just doing a regular job. So, I've learned all that now, and I know how to not get fucking frazzled by individuals that want to say negative shit. Negativity comes with life, period. So I needed to come to the realization, like, everything is not going to be a pat on the back. And, you're going to get your shit. So, handle it, but ride out. But the beauty of it all is that I'm in control of my destiny now. There's no record company that's in control of my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I control everything I fucking do. Every dollar and cent that went into that project came out of my fucking pocket and my passion. And everybody that came to be down with the Leftovers movement came organically. There was no, yo, can you please, yo, Soonias, can you get down with the yo, Philo T, yo, Charlene, yo, Sharif, yo, Toast, none of that shit. Everybody got down because they understood the movement, understood the importance of it. And it was left up to me to deliver my part in this project.
Right.
So my part in this project is making sure I write hot shit. And, with all of y'all behind me, ain't no way I'm gonna fuck up, man. I ain't letting nobody down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really going for this shit. And this is, this is like my man Toe said, this is just the first wave. Like, y'all coming in now, thank you, and get ready, because there's gonna be a tsunami of fucking shit that's gonna come through from this group right here. And my man Soonias, let me tell you one thing about this guy right quick, so we can get this out the way. This man embraced me for my past. When he found out I had a new joint going on back in 2016, whatever, he came down and sat with me in Brooklyn, and we sat down, we chopped it up. And we created a dialogue between each other where it actually flourished into a friendship. And our friendship is unwavering. And when it came time for the Leftovers project, I ran it by him. He was totally down with that shit. So we did that what's the spot down Money and Roots and Red Hook? No, not Red Hook, in Fake Green. Fort Green, sorry, Fake Green. We were Fake Green, and then I had talked about the leftovers and what it meant, and you were totally down. And I told him, I said, "Yo, Soonias, man, I really need you on this album. Say some prophetic shit that niggas will fucking, I know you're a complicated lyricist for a lot of people to understand. So, a lot of niggas just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But those of us who do know that you're brilliant. So when I was making the album, I had all the songs, and then, the song with you on it, that was done a little while back.
Right.
And I was like, what do I start the album off with? And I was like, fucking kidding me? Champagne of Beers is what it originally was called, but now it's Rogue One. I was like, Soonias, that's the way you become great, nigga. You let this dude stand out there on the podium and fucking say that shit that you believe in. And everything comes after that, motherfuckers gonna be on the edge of their seat listening to. So thank you for that, because there's no better way I can ever think about starting the album.
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna throw that out there. When you told me to do it though, all you said was like write something about all this gentrification bullshit.
Yeah.
We ain't need to talk about it. And that's the thing. Everyone that's down with this doesn't need to be convinced about gentrification.
I got friends that be like, yo, this shit was there the whole time. Why didn't we buy shit then? I said, motherfucker, we wasn't programmed to buy shit then. We only programmed to suck off the teeth of the other man. You know what I'm saying? We're so programmed to just go for handouts and live a certain way that we never thought about being entrepreneurs and trying to buy properties and cultivating them and cultivating our culture. We were programmed to just be fucking slaves.
Yeah, for those that say that, there's a lot of good books that really detail the history of that, how this goes all the way back through the Ed Kochias and all that. And the reason that this gentrification was always violent, and the only reason that people would go to us and say, how come you didn't buy this and that, is because it looked like we had something, because we made something that survived us. People keep forgetting that we were being thrown out of New York City, and if we didn't make up hip hop, they would have just, that gentrification process would have happened faster.
Listen, bro, let me tell you about the earliest memories of gentrification for me, okay? Because I studied this shit. I just don't come out here and talk some shit and don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Puerto Ricans, like us, okay, they came from Puerto Rico and fucked up planes, whatever fucking fucked up tape suitcases and shit like that. They came after World War II to come here to make a better life. They came here with the sole purpose of doing better and doing better for the families to create a future. But what happened after World War II, Robert Moses took over fucking everything, and he just was a fan of the car. He wasn't a fan of people, he was a fan of the car. So he constructed all these highways, and this motherfucker had that shit detailed on a map back in like 1930, 1940, some shit like that. Great artist, if you really think about it, like the detail of it. But his thing was to make everything accessible for the car. So he knocked down neighborhoods, he destroyed them, misplaced people. So where the white people that were living in Midtown Manhattan or downtown Manhattan, they got displaced, he gave them breaks to buy homes on Long Island. And then what happens? All the blacks and then the Puerto Ricans who came later moved into those places, and then they became fucking ghettos. And this dude was so vicious that he actually, he's like, when he got pressured to build housing for the poor, really blacks and Puerto Ricans, New York City directly, this is what I'm speaking to. Why were the projects bottled water and there's no features on the buildings? The buildings are so fucking sanitary. They're just a block, just blocks of concrete and everything. He gave nobody no hope, man. He built that shit like it was a jail, and that's what it was. It was a jail for all the impoverished in New York City. So he started the gentrification. He was a fucking evil man, and thank God he's gone. And he finally got stopped when he tried to go downtown to the village, because what he didn't realize, that the first people that came to New York City and your first real politically motivated individuals lived in downtown New York. It was 5 Points then.
Mhm.
And so they were used to political uprisings and activism and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So they went against him, and he stopped it. And then they stopped it. And then after that, Robert Moses was done. But that man destroyed families' lives.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're for the listener, there's many books about this. One good book to start with is How to Kill a City by Peter Moskowitz.
Oh,
He goes into that and he talks about Moses in detail in there. A lot of the stuff that
this fucking guy, Robert Moses, the guy's one more time. Like, yo, this dude, he was fucking brilliant. So he'd go to the city and he said, yeah, we need this and that and everything. And they'd let him draw up the contracts.
Mm.
He was a lawyer, so they let him draw up the contracts and they were all good with it. Well, when he drew up the contracts, it put him in control of everything.
Mhm.
He was the most powerful dude in New York City. Fiorello LaGuardia couldn't even stop him. And he was a feisty dude, you know what I'm saying? And he was a good man, but they couldn't stop him because Robert Moses had legally locked shit up where he got all the money. Every time you went over a fucking bridge and they paid the toll, that nigga got the money.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would have like 15 more bridges out here if they didn't stop him too.
A lot of times.
Anyway, enough with that shit.
Now we're talking about this album, right? And there's so much to say about it, right? But I had
Engraved in
said
New York is the album.
Engraved in New York, right? And it's on Bandcamp, the leftovers nyc.bandcamp.com.
Mhm.
I had said this immediately when I heard the whole thing, and I said this to you, and it became a thing. We was all sharing. I said it's a perfect score for all that we've embraced as leftovers, the culture we preserve and thrive in. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, right? Because you made this distinction. It's Marcano. You've come into your own and stuff. And I heard you say, and I'm always intrigued. How I always gotta get into the science of music. You talked about your approach on this, and it's not just straight up MCing. You talked about flowing, and I always have to make to listener, when you hear this album, you're hearing incredible MCing, the stylistic presence, the classical Marcano timbre. You're hearing everything, but everything is flowing in perfect syncopation.
Mm.
Everything has its perfect rhythmic timing. You know what I mean? What did you let go and still end up perfectly in that pocket, perfectly rhythmically in the beat? You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to get ready for this answer. You know what I mean? But like, you say that, but then I'm like, but the MCing is still on point and probably even more fluid than you've ever rhymed before. I don't hear any like stop starts. I don't hear any, like jerks, like those kind of like moments, or like this is gonna end the verse. Nothing is that clear. Everything is very, like we were saying before, organic though. It just goes.
Well, I mean, I finally, doing those Power Rule albums and everything. I got back in and everything, But when Power Rule in its inception, I was just trying to be Rakim. I was in love with Rakim. I wanted to be Rakim, so I tried to rhyme in that rhyme style. I don't know if I did him any justice, but whatever. I did some shit and it got kind of popular. But this now is who I am. So I stopped trying to have a rhyme flow, and I realized when I speak to people face to face on the street or whatever, motherfuckers pay attention. Whatever the way I'm delivering it, whatever, I guess they want to hear what I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I gotta stop rhyming on these tracks and start talking on them like I talk in normal life. So I just started going with the feeling like, yo, just talk on this shit like you talk in real life. You can throw a little flow in there here and there, but your conversation is crazy already. So just, do that with the beat and the music, and only get on joints that you really feel soulfully. Don't do any contrived shit. And that's what it is. That's my formula. Like I just talk like myself on these joints. That's why I say it's Marcano, because that's the way Marcano talk. Power Rule don't talk like that. Power Rule got a whole different flow. But me, Marcano, this is how I talk to you one on one.
You know, it's also reminding me of the way you're finding yourself artistically. Also reminds me of, you know, the great legend, one that you knew, a hero to me as a writer. You know, MF Doom, Remember the Perfection. I think for me, and I just throw this out there, you've been around so many great artistic minds. I don't think people understand how diverse the creativity was that you were around. Because when we say Power Rule, Marcano, you're around CM Bob, all of these. It's not just talents that rhyme; it's talents that write. It's talents that do radio, like Bobito. You know what I mean? Talents that DJ. You know what I mean? Comedic talents. You know what I mean? It's all of these things put together, and I feel like it all just influences you in some kind of like unconscious way.
Well, let me say this, man. So early on, getting into the business, you know, Power Rule came out independent, put our own money behind shit, and you know, everybody thinks down south motherfuckers started that shit. You know, we was doing that shit, and we was doing MTV, BET, off of singles on Revenge Records from fucking Queens, and making noise and stuff, and then I got picked up by Interscope. But what I will say is this: so when I did get picked up and got some money in my pocket, I acted like, you know, fucking hood motherfucker would act. I fucking took all my shit. I went to Canal Street when I got out the studio and fucking went and got the giant big gold chain, and I did all that. And I was just having a party and having fun. I didn't really care about rap music, my nigga. I just really wanted to be at the party and be the star of the party. Like, you know, that's the way we came up. Like, you know, the first motherfuckers that really rapped, they were doing that for fame. Just like graffiti writers, you wanted to get fame. You rapped at that party, you got fame, and you was the dude that got the girl that night. So my whole existence with Power Rule was based upon that. That's how it grew. But this is me as a man who's self-realized now. Knowledge is self.
Right.
And this is what I exude.
And this album has so much fire, though. You know what I mean? And I'm like, when people talk to me about the way I write, almost everything I write has anger in it. It always does.
It does have a little tone.
You know, it always has fire in it, and it works. It fits so well in here. But like, let's go through some of these songs here, because
okay, hold on.
I was thinking, I just want to say this to the listener.
And I want to mention the producers.
Right. That's what I was going to talk about first. Yeah, musically, I was thinking like this: what does this album keep reminding me of, right? Because there's a way of sampling where you might use things that people know, but use them different so you can capture that vibe. And this album it has the same vibe as the Wild Style soundtrack. Like, it gives me that vibe. You know what I mean?
What?
Because you put us in those old, like I'll be in the old trains and then also the new trains. You know what I mean?
Yo, that's fucking dope, because that's exactly.
It's almost like
Me and my man Toast 187, what up, Toast? He's one of the earliest individuals to come on board with the Leftovers project, and me and him just synced effortlessly. And we both have that New York 70s train, dirty block, burnt down building feel in us. That's what we relate to. That's how we came up. That's how we saw New York. We didn't see a pretty New York. We saw a violent, crazy, vicious, but fun New York. That was all New York. And, you know, out of that New York came so many great things. You know, you have your hip hop movement, you got your fashion industry, you got the punk rock movement. There's so many things that culturally fucking changed the world, period. Like, how did hip hop change the world? We were there for that shit. But that shit was something that fucking seeped into our pores because we're around it all the time. It became comfortable and okay to walk by a burnt down building. It became comfortable and okay to see dope things on the street laid out by the fucking fire hydrants. You know, it became okay to know that niggas got robbed on the train. This was day-to-day life for us, and this is how we lived. And we existed, and we navigated the path as it unfolded before us. That's it. So I still live my life that way to this day because I'm programmed that way. I deal with life as it unfolds before me. I deal with each day separately. I may have a certain agenda, a thing that I want to do, but I'm ready for the roadblocks and I know how to swerve. So that me and him think that way, and I think it exudes that in the album. So it's like, you know, a lot of tracks about him, Toast 187. I fucking love those songs. I love Team Demo. Team Demo that I met through Curious. Curious put me on to them and everything. And those dudes, you know, they sent me like 100 fucking beats. And, you know, I picked the ones I liked and they were good with it. And then the other songs that were left over, I produced. Because there's certain things that now I see it and I know how to do it and execute it and I did it. So this is, as a collective, I didn't sway artistically into any direction. I just did what felt natural.
It all comes together and stuff like that. And then, you know, I could say that certain tracks will signify the sound, you know what I mean? But each one can stand alone as a representative of the sound of the album, you know what I mean? Songs like Save the Confetti, that Team Demo, the way they've chopped up that police siren.
Wait, hold on.
That shit is just...
Yo, Cozy, Tone, y'all know. So they sent me that beat. I'm the one that put the police siren in there and fucking chopped it.
Oh, that shit's so good.
But that's the dope shit. Because even on Porter Rock Steady with me and Thurston, that's a Team Demo beat too. I added some stuff to it. Like, they're okay with that. Like, you know, most producers, if you put something else on their shit, they're going to get tight. So, but this is what I'm saying. We worked in syncopation.
It's so melodic in there,
it's just like, they're good with me putting my little thing on top of it and creating the whole thing. So, you know,
that's dope, man.
But that beat is crazy hard, though. I thought it was I thought that loop was Bob James, but it wasn't. I think he said it was Roy Ayers.
I got
Confetti.
Let's talk about, because, you know, right now we love this stuff so much. This leftovers thing is so important to us that us two intense, lifelong Mets fans are missing the opening day, which opening day for the Mets is always a big deal now, especially with Jacob deGrom pitching. You know what I mean? if I miss games, you know, like it's a Hall of Fame career that we're watching. You know what I mean? So if you're a Mets fan, you make sure that you do the knowledge. You know what I mean?
You can't start talking about the Mets here, man.
But listen,
fucking be here for fucking hours.
Yeah, I know.
Like, yo, deGrom. All right, let me tell you how I feel about Jacob deGrom, real quick, off topic. Tom Seaver was my idol. I didn't have a dad growing up. My pops broke out.
This is the segue.
My pops broke out and everything, so I ain't have no dad. My brothers had their dad, and I ain't have no dad. And my grandmother, God bless her, I love her so much. She grew up across the street from Ebbets Field. So she was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. So when dickhead Robert Moses didn't want to build a stadium where they wanted it, and then fucking the Dodgers left, and the Giants left to the Polo Grounds.
And by the way, they left in gentrified LA to build the stadium.
Absolutely,
right?
yes. So, you know, my grandmother was, you know, she wasn't going to be a Yankee fan, so she was left with the Mets. And a lot of people don't know the blue and the orange and the Mets is for the Giants and for the Dodgers. So that's the Mets, a National League team. This was a National League city. So anyway, so Tom Seaver was my hero growing up. Since I didn't have a dad, I used to watch that dude, and he was just fucking the greatest I ever saw. And then I didn't see nothing like that in the Met uniform until Dwight Gooden came.
Right.
And when Gooden came, this fucking city was on fire. Yo, this nigga Gooden, when you went down Broadway to Houston, he had the whole side of the building. You crazy? Gooden had the whole side of the building.
Right, that was not common then, though.
No, you didn't see
like
shit
today,
like
you
that.
see shit like that.
That dude had the whole side of the building. They wrapped that shit, they did a painting, whatever they did, and he was killing it. And then to see him go down, you know, the way he did because of drugs, him and Straw, you know, I mean, Straw.
Yeah.
I mean, no, that 86 team was hated by every other team in baseball, but we loved them. And, you know, they still kept us at the edge of our seats because you know game 6, you know what happened. We looked like we were done. Homeboy caught the second out in the outfield and went like this, like, yeah, we got this. Bang, bang, bang. Gary Carter hit, this one hit, another hit. Mookie runs down the line, fucking whatever. And then we was down in game 7 too when we came back.
That's right.
So that was my team, and I'm still waiting. So now we in that, I call it, these are the DeGrom years of the Mets.
Right.
DeGrom is fucking amazing. You know, so you have Matt Harvey, Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz. We're supposed to be the saviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Generation X, what they had before, Pulsifer and all these guys, whatever. So Matt Harvey came up, he was on fire. I remember watching the game, Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN, and it was Steven Strasburg versus Matt Harvey. And they were going back and forth, 2 young niggas at the top of their game. And I remember all the Mets fans saying, all guys better. All guys better. It was crazy. So Harvey, you know, but there was this other dude that came up with long curly hair that wasn't celebrated or wasn't expected to do anything like these guys. And that's fucking Jake.
Yeah, man.
The DeGrominator. This guy's won 2 Cy Youngs. He'll probably win another one. Steady, yo, this guy is the fucking best pitcher in baseball. I don't care what you say. So it's beautiful to watch that, but please put some weapons around this dude so we can get one.
And look, I'll segue into Seaver.
Seaver.
Seaver, you said some of the most important things on Seaver that you said on this album.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You said something, I just wanted to throw it out to you because the contradictions of being in America, I think we always, you know, the contradictions of being in America and being able to do what we can do, but then still be oppressed is something that people don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said this is America, the land I live in, love it or hate it, it's a patriotic prism, afforded the ability to speak my own mind and speak on behalf of the same kind.
Wow, he sounds so much better coming out of your mouth. You're making me like my shit now.
No, it was so profound because we're always taught that, and this is one of the things about hip hop. It's like, oh, look, a lot of people, and this is what I get from writing about it and covering it, seeing fans' reactions. They appreciate hustlers because they're doing capitalism by any means necessary. That's really the thing. Every time someone veers into a commentary on what's wrong with this country, it's almost like they start to feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And it's like you're saying, listen, you could love it or hate it, but I still get to comment on this. You know what I mean? And I think it's a powerful statement because that's really the leftover creed.
Well, I mean, you know, that's what America and what we're built on, right? You know, you're freedom of speech and able to, you know, express how you feel without persecution. Like, you know, I just fucking watched The Dissident the other day. Holy shit, man. If y'all ain't watch that, watch that. The Dissident is crazy. So I know, you know, that people come here and want to be here for a reason.
Right.
Because they're living through tyranny where they live at. You may not look like there's a ruler, but there is a ruler, and you cannot even speak one bad word about the government. So the fact that I am able to voice my opinion here and talk shit is fucking great. I don't know any other way. It's a beautiful feeling.
I'll give you 2 things, right? Because I just want to put things in perspective, right? Us being Boricua, and remember, we've become, that major wave was after World War II, but we've been here since we got citizenship.
Oh, yeah. So my grandmother came,
right?
My grandmother came in 1920.
Right.
1920.
Now, the thing is, right? It's almost
she lived
like,
on the same block as Al Capone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she used to tell me the stories.
Now, here's the odd thing, right? With what we're sharing as the leftovers and an argument that could be thrown at us, right? A lot of people look at gentrification more like, well, you know, we lost. And that's the way it goes in America. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing, like, they're not seeing it like something that's deliberate and shouldn't be done. They're seeing it more like, well, we lost. And that's just the way it goes. Like life is a game. And it's so crazy because this whole album keeps telling us it's not a game. You know what I mean? Like Veterans Break, you know what I mean? That's the last thing he says in the song. He's like, it's not a fucking game. You know what I mean?
That shit.
Yeah. And it's so powerful because when you look at the way this album is designed for you, the listener, to listen to it, I could give you quotables all day, but this is one of the very rare albums I've ever heard because it's an anthem album. It's anthemically designed. Everything is designed to be an anthem to motivate you to see where you're at.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But it's also extremely rare because it's battle bars that are directed at an individual target, a specific target. You know what I mean? And most don't have that. We're talking about Public Enemy, but even Chuck D didn't give you just straight battle bars like that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? This album is filled with like battle bars that are directed at a particular target, especially when you get going, especially the second half of the album. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fire there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'll say this for me and Toast, we work closely on. I actually, I've been known about Bandcamp for years, but I didn't really know how it worked. I just internet challenged or whatever, because I'm old. But I spoke to one of the people in the art department at my work, and we were talking, and it was like, yo, you should put your shit on Bandcamp. You're gonna make some money. I was like, make some money? I never thought about making money in this shit. Since the original concept of me doing this, I never thought I could make money. Figured it out, did it, go up to Bandcamp, fucking wake up in the morning, and I got fucking money sitting there. So to refund, to do another project. But so we got the lineup mixed up. So Sos had put Covelli last, and I was just like, yo, I was supposed to go there. He's like, nah, man, leave that shit at the end. You heard what you said on that? And then I was just like, yeah. And the whole shit with Matthew McConaughey talking hands across America bullshit, and that fucking who else is like, fuck that.
Yo, when you sent me that, you sent me that in the text, and I was like, damn, why's he got Matthew McConaughey talking this shit?
Motherfuckers don't know unless
the setup was crazy.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it ended up that way and ended the album strong. A lot of people feel like, to them that might be their weakest song and they put it last. I think that's one of my strongest songs, and we put it last. So it's developed a new thought process. Like, nah, man, put one of your hottest ones last and hottest one.
It feels, when you hear this album with that Covelli last, it feels like the future's coming. Because you're talking about right now. What happens after COVID? What happens after a concept that is very rarely talked about? Every time there is drama, everyone wants to know how we get by. But once they get past the drama, it's time, well, we don't need it. Remember 9/11? Everybody was okay with us. They want to know, how do we deal with all this hell? How do we deal with all this pain? You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something about 9/11. Horrific. Terrible. I feel for everybody.
Absolutely.
But there was an incident that happened in New York City in the early 80s. Whatever. I forgot what it was, but early 80s, late 70s. Happy Land. And this dude thought his girl was cheating on him and shit like that, and then he went and threw some pipe, whatever, some shit, burned up the whole fucking place. 80 people fucking burned to death in this after hours in the Bronx. That shit was a story for one day. Motherfuckers ain't talk about it again. You know that girl who he wanted to burn to death, she left already. And he just killed 80 innocent people. And I don't see no Happy Land foundations. I don't see none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that what we should do for 9/11, it should be taken back. They deserve all that.
Sure.
But what I'm saying, this was an internal New York City issue that happened in a Latino community that no politicians were standing out there trying help what happened. So fucking vicious attack. It was horrible, but nobody gave them any fucking help. So when it comes to this kind of shit, I'm just like, all right, that's cool, but what's it really for? Because when our shit happens, ain't nobody gives a fuck about us. When we suffer atrocities in our neighborhoods, does anybody give a fuck? You know how many motherfuckers die in the hood every fucking summer? You know this summer had more shootings in New York City since the fucking 70s? No, but I listen to 10-10 wins every fucking day, B. And fucking the shootings have been up dramatically, but nobody cares because nobody from these certain communities are affected. It's only affecting us, and they don't give a fuck about us. And it's just a reaffirmation how they don't give a fuck about us.
Right.
So I gotta give a fuck about us.
And
that's why I gotta drink a couple beers and shit like that, man, because this shit is rough, bro.
Indeed.
It's hard putting this on your shoulders. I feel like Atlas.
There's so much on this album. There's so many poignant lines. The color, you said, believe not in me, but in the actions of those proactive that can invoke change.
My range is infinite, knowledge is universal. Pour rum for my sons who slanderize at curfews. Cities on fire, went for wiretaps and traps to navigating our movements through schematics and maps. Perhaps. All right, whatever. Anyway, I love that one.
Yeah.
I was just like, when he comes up here, I was just like, yo, I think I'm gonna need to do a video for that one. But Doom used that beat too, though. So that's a sample from Midnight Express. So Doom used it and Mobb Deep used it, but it was different. I think I made it my own on that.
Yeah, definitely. And one of my favorite songs and for me personally, and for the listener, I don't really say this too much, but it's really like full circle for me because Felipe Luciano, besides being a legend that we all know and impacting me as a journalist, as a freedom fighter, also because all the young lords that really did something, they impacted me greatly when I learned what they did after the young lords. Like people like Juan Gonzalez,
right.
And his literary works, his work on Democracy Now! And stuff. These are really things that impact me. A lot of people don't ask me. You think like, oh, he just gets his hip hop skills from hip hop. You know what I mean? My research skills come from Juan Gonzalez. You know what I mean? And the way he's always asking questions and the detail that he has. You know what I mean? But like, what's so great about this album for me is to hear a track like Felipe Luciano and then Curious is on it. A lot of people don't know, that Curious was my first interview ever in this. So I didn't get to interview like a local Joe on the street, you know what I mean? I got to interview somebody that was on Columbia. I remember I waited like 2 hours for him to show up.
That sounds like Jorge.
Yeah, and he said, man, you related to Pablo?
No.
He said that.
He said that?
He said that to me.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, listen, man, the story is, actually, the story is I was doing a show with leaders of the new school before they even had a record, but I was popular in Long Island, and Chuck D was there, and Chuck D came up to me and says, yo, and he just felt that, I was independent, and I might have needed a helping hand with something. He thought I was good enough for that, so he was like, yo, here, I want you to take this number, go see my man Bobito, who's working at Def Jam, that's your people. When I roll up to Def Jam and see Bobito, who's Puerto Rican, right? So I'm just like, this is Chuck doing, he's doing Chuck things right here. All right, that's cool. So I met Bobito, and George was working with Bobito that time at Def Jam, and we met each other, and it's like, all of us are lifelong friends since then. We found out, me and George had a conversation one day, we're chilling, and his mom's was there, Marta, and she's like, your name's Marcano? Do you know Anna Marcano? I was like, that's my mom. He said, we used to work together at this airline or whatever. So it's just like, boom, out of nowhere, I'm meeting this nigga from uptown. I'm from fucking Queens, and our moms used to work together. So, he's been a great inspiration to me. I think he's lyrically at his best right now. Like, he was good. And I always knew he was good, and I never could do what he does. I can't, there's a certain way and swag that he has about himself the way he delivers shit that is fucking, I just love it. And like really, like right now, I think his best work is now. And so finally, we got to the point where we can collaborate again and do things together. And Felipe Luciano is one of them. You know what I'm saying? And big up to Babito Ross too, because
Indeed.
the reason why I even thought about it is because we went to some expo that was at where Albee Square Mall used to be. It's not Albee Square no more. And Felipe was talking, and Babito introduced me. Babito made a jacket for him and shit like that, and we started talking. And then the whole concept came up in my brain, and you know, we made that song happen. So
very dope. And salute to Babito Ross, man.
Yeah,
because he really gives the movement like a real visual.
No, listen, I'm so blessed with these individuals. So, Toast 187.
Mm-hmm.
At Toast 187. IG. We ain't got to do this shit nowadays. Babito Ross, I've already on Instagram. Phil Ortiz, Sharif Got Prophet, Sunya's Allah, Mighty Buddha, who just got down with the leftovers. And that dude, man, y'all in the world of trouble, man. That boy got fucking rhymes galore. Ill shit, you know what I'm saying? And I've been knowing that he's down with the whole CM fam. What I miss? I miss anybody? Phil, Sharif, you, Toast, Buddha. There's somebody missing. Talim.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. Sorry, Talim.
You got Benny Blanco.
Oh my God, it's fucked up. Yo, Benny, I'll never do that again, bro. Benny was one of my earliest supporters when I made my reemergence. He has been down with me since then, and we continue to be tight, and we continue to work together. So that's right there. You got the core of the Leftovers Collective.
Right. And
Sick Boy Vision, thanks for that comic shit too, man. We can.
Oh yeah, all the comics that everybody is.
Yeah, I see you got that as your little.
Oh yeah, got to. Yeah, it's too fire right there. Yeah. I was like, okay, he did me with the right hat on. I was like,
I didn't like mine at first, but whatever. Toast's like, shut up, man. It's fucking good. That's what comic books look like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And of course, you see Las Sobras.
Las Sobras, which means the leftovers in Spanish.
Right? Why? You know, that's my man, Sharif Got Prophet. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing that. Babito's got his link on the Leftovers Bandcamp page for you to get all your merchandise and stuff like that. But all right, all that shit is done now. We ain't got to talk about business.
What is next for all of us leftovers?
I think this is like the introduction or prelude to a book. This book is going to be written continuously, but it's going to be written in step with life and how it unfolds, because that's how I feel. And being that I'm in control of my own destiny and going to the studio when I want to and when I can, it's going to vary, because I don't have to do a project to put out a project, because I got a good job, dude. I don't really got to make music. I do it because I love it. So I'm going to do it on my time when I'm ready. So my time when I'm ready and how I feel at that moment, that's what's going to unfold on these tracks. These tracks will reflect what I'm going through at that time, or something that I might want to share from my past. And I just think if you found this album interesting and motivational, it's only going to continue to be more of that. You know, you're not going to see anything contrived on these albums at all. These albums are going to be a direct reflection of my counterparts and my dudes in this struggle. So it's going to contain you. It's going to contain Phil. It's going to contain all of us in there. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be one of the speakers on the behalf of our collective.
Right.
And I will always reflect the opinions and views of my team.
I see it. You know what? Man, this hour flew by, man.
Oh yeah.
This hour flew by, man. And listen, it's it's an honor to be part of the leftovers. You know what I mean?
No, it's an honor to have you, dude.
Oh man.
Because you gotta remember, man, this shit is 360. The first Power album that came out, who did I have talking on that shit? Bones Malone, my nigga
Yep.
Bones. And he's down with the same crew that you down with, you know what I'm saying? So this
Right.
shit was just destiny
Yeah, man.
for me to meet you.
There's so many overlapping things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you know what it is? It's just like, you know, when I got over all the materialism and fucking being popular and fucking around with bitches and all that to make myself feel better, and I realized what I really needed to feel better was to do something righteous and invoke justice. I mean, I had you at my disposal, so I had to use it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, individuals like yourself make an individual like me better, and it keeps me on my toes and keeps me not slipping back into bad habits, you know?
I see it. Man, well, you know what? This, I'm here. I'm building. I have every album that is worthwhile that comes out. Engraved in New York, though, is a top tier album. And it is a special, unique album. It is a particular movement that honestly, all of the other great artists, whether they are in our movement or not, though, support it because we all see the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones daring enough to represent this particularly.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that means something. And hopefully to you, the listener, it means something because it isn't just to take gentrification lying down.
Mm-hmm.
It is to realize that it is our culture, everything that we have has been taken from us, monetized, and it's time that we monetize our own things. It's time that we take command of our own things and that we develop our own culture. And that includes, though, the way that we behave.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a big thing. So, you know, I've really, one day told me something. He said, he's like, yo, dude, you know, you the captain, like, you know, you the leader of the shit. I was like, nah, man, I'm just down all the way on. He's like, no, man. We got down with the shit because of you. You gotta act like that. Once he said that shit, man, I was just like started looking at my own actions and the way I represented myself. And then I realized, damn, I got a responsibility, not to me, but I got a responsibility to these other individuals that have stood by me and co-signing me. So, you know, I think about that every day, and I think about my actions and my movements, and I try to do the best thing accordingly.
Marcano, this is incredible stuff, big bro. The Leftovers NYC, we never left. We're still here, and we're still building.
Absolutely, and of course, gotta do it. Bandcamp.
The Leftovers NYC.
And I also want to give a big shout out to my man Patrick Delaney and John Stanier.
Oh,
definitely. If you don't know who John Stanier is, y'all sleeping, because John Stanier was the drummer for Helmet, the drummer for Tomahawk. He's now in a group called Battles. And this dude is a rock god. And me and him got together. He actually played some music behind the title track Engraved in New York, which is killer. You're going to see a video for that. And then we also did Super Predators Live. And to bring you back to that Wild Style thing, that is a take on a Wild Style song. So if you go back and listen to Super Predators, that's bam, but all live. So
fire,
fire. Everybody who really knows me, man, I'm a fucking crazy rockhead, and this was a great moment for me. So I'm in heaven right now. I got this dude playing on my shit, and I got a rock joint, the video, so I go check that shit out on YouTube, you know?
Indeed, man. Listen, the Leftovers NYC, we're still here. Go to theleftoversnyc.bandcamp.com. Until the next time, there'll be a lot more stories to tell, writings to recite, and records to rewind and reminisce. I'm your host, Sunni Hezbollah, aka S.STREET Low. And as always, the Power Right Show is a never respect fake broadcast. Peace.
I do it.
Oh, man.
Fucking awesome, man. I think we covered everything, right, bro?
Yeah, man. Yeah, everything I had listed. Yeah, this album, everything. Yeah.
It's like I feel like this is an insider trading right now because we're down with each other. He's like, yo, I'm gonna throw you this one, but you did it. That's good. Like, yeah, I didn't know any questions beforehand.
Right, yeah. But like the bias that would go
My
into
man back there, I saw you sleeping like for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was
I did. You were out. I saw you. You smoked that blunt earlier. I get it.
I'm trying to stop cigarettes, man. So
Nah, I
been
stopped.
heavy-
No, you know,
I've been heavy on the weed.
I understand you, B. I fucking quit cigarettes, drugs, all that shit. I fucking did drugs in my life longer than most of the people I work with have been alive. You know, you're talking about 30 years of fucking just doing drugs crazy. And then I stopped. It wasn't easy, and it's still ain't easy. I'm still drinking and shit, but, you know,
I'm
that shit
trying
is
to stop
wait, but
smoking.
smoking weed, I don't consider that you doing drugs.
No,
But
but
you tell me you
it's the
doing cocaine
cigarettes.
and shit like that.
The cigarettes.
Cigarettes is worse than weed to me.
So that's why I'm trying to, so far I only did one cigarette today.
Okay.
So that's big for me.
You got a cigarette?
I already have one.
You got a Newport?
I need to go one. I can't even smoke it. I smoked my one cigarette when I got here.
Every now and then I have one.
Yeah, that should have me.
Yo, that's crazy, guy, because I didn't
One to
usually
remind
smoke
me how
cigarettes while we
nasty
on
that
the
shit
air.
is.
I'm trying to do it.
Oh, man.
Hold on, let me take a look at this.
It feels like kicking heroin, nigga.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
So, listen, B, you know,